Hi, my name is Josephine and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that has made a huge impact on my life, which is something called slipping rib syndrome. I will be talking about what slipping rib syndrome is. I will be talking about how it has affected me in my life. I'll be talking about how it affects me now and what the plan is. I will show you what my ribs look like and what my hopes are for the future. So to start with, I would like to explain to you what slipping rib syndrome is. Slipping rib syndrome is a often underdiagnosed syndrome. Slipping rib syndrome is an often underdiagnosed condition that occurs when someone's lower rib cartilage moves or slips, which in turn can cause a lot of pain in the chest area or the abdomen or the surrounding area. To understand how it occurs, you first need to know some of the basics of the anatomy of the ribs. In total, most people have 12 pairs of ribs. The upper 7 are called true ribs and are attached directly to your sternum through ligaments and intercosternal joints. These are naturally, in most cases, pretty durable, since they are protecting some quite important organs in there. The 8th, 9th, and 10th ribs are called false ribs. These are not connected directly to your sternum, which makes them more prone to complications. This is where the slipping occurs. Under those, you have the 11th and 12th ribs, so-called floating ribs. These are sort of supposed to be loose, so they are not to blame. The cartilage that normally should connect the false ribs to the sternum slips out of place and can cause several things: irritation of the costernal nerve, strain of the intercostal muscles, strain of the lower costal cartilage, and/or general inflammation of the surrounding area. As you might understand, these are some pretty painful and debilitating symptoms. So, to be honest with you, I don't really know when I first got slipping rib syndrome. In my head, it's like I've had it for as long as I can remember. I remember seeking help for it the first time when I was about 11 years old. And when I was a kid, I was a very active kid, so I loved attending sports. I attended soccer practice, tennis practice, badminton, floorball, running. But as time went by, I had to quit one sport after another because I couldn't continue because of the physical pain that I felt. I went to see many doctors, so many specialists, and so many professional people that just kept telling me that the pain was all in my head, that there was no such thing as ribs that would move around when you touch them. They wouldn't even touch me and try if they actually moved. They just said that that was not a thing. I just kept thinking that you know when something is wrong with you, but when you being told time after time after time that it's all in your head and you're just making it up, after a while you actually start believing it. So after a few years, I stopped seeking help for it and I thought it's just gonna get better if I stop thinking about it, but that didn't happen. I also noticed that my ribs didn't look like the other kids' ribs. They were sticking out a lot. They had a very weird shape. I got quite bullied for it. Random people would come up to me at school and be like, "Do you have 4 boobs?" Especially if I was wearing something tight fitting. In addition to it being very much of a struggle physically, it also affected me a lot mentally because I was quite young still. I was like 12, 13 when people started making fun of me. I was up all night, every night until early morning, and I was like ripping clothes in and out of my wardrobe trying to find something that would hide my ribs. And I would also have a very bad posture because I would try to hide my ribs a lot. So the years went by and I got used to the pain. I still realized that something was going on, something was wrong with me, but there was no diagnosis for me to turn to. I didn't know anything about slipping rib syndrome. I would Google and try to find things on YouTube, but I just wouldn't find anything that fit my symptoms. But then last summer in 2019, I randomly met a guy at a party that was working a lot with back pain and muscular pain and stuff like that. And of course, being the annoying person at the party, I took advantage of the fact that he was working with that. So I was like, oh, you should check out my ribs. They're quite interesting. And he did. And he was like, you know what? I actually think I know what that is. And he was in a group on Facebook where there was an article that someone had posted about slipping rib syndrome. And he had read about it and he was like, you should really check this up because the symptoms that you're explaining and the way that you look is like an indicator that this could be what you have. So I started reading a lot about slipping rib syndrome. I quickly realized that this must be what I have. Last September, I think it was, I had a really, really bad week with my ribs. It all started out when I was sitting at home in my sofa and I was yawning like with my entire body. I was like leaning up and having like a really good old yawn. In that movement, I just got stuck and my ribs started hurting so much. And for the rest of the day, I couldn't move. And in the evening, when my boyfriend got home, we went to the hospital and we were sent home. And then we called an ambulance and we got to the ER. And it was a long trip back and forth. First time at the ER, they just told me, you're gonna go home and you're gonna take painkillers. I got back home, I took a lot of morphine. It didn't help with the pain, but it made me fall asleep. So at least I slept for a few hours, but then I woke up from the pain that just kept going for a few hours. And then I was like, I can't do this, I can't move. It hurt so bad. So we went back to the ER, ran a few tests, and they found nothing. So I was sent home again with stronger morphine. I fell asleep and I woke up and I fell asleep and I woke up. And then the next day we went back to the ER again for the third time. That time I had brought a bunch of papers that explain what slipping rib syndrome is. And I got to talk to a doctor that actually listened to me. I gave her the papers and I said, I think this is what I have. Could you please read these papers? She came back after reading them and she did the hooking maneuver, which is when you put your hands under the ribs and you try to hook them on your fingers and if you can actually move them. So she did that and she could feel that my ribs were moving around when she did that. I remember when I was sent home, the words like bringing in my head that someone acknowledged that this was actually real, that I wasn't just all imagining the pain, making it up, that this was a real thing and something that you could actually do something about. I remember crying so much when I heard that. After this, I stayed home from work for a while because I have a very physical job. And when it got better, I reached out to my doctor to be diagnosed and to see if there was a way forward. My doctor immediately did the hooking maneuver and he said, yeah, this is, it looks like this is what it is. The treatment for slipping rib syndrome has different stages. The first stage is physical therapy. The next step is anti-inflammatory drugs. The next step is, I'm not sure what it's called, but I will write it here. The step after that, if nothing works, is to have surgery. So I started off with both physical therapy and anti-inflammatory drugs. The anti-inflammatory drugs would help me deal with the pain, but when I didn't take them, I still had a lot of pain. I also did a few months of physical therapy, but unfortunately, and as I was expecting, it only made things worse. When it comes to muscles in the stomach and in the back, it's all affected by my ribs. I can do it for a while sometimes, but then it just hits. It went well for a few weeks and then I hit the bottom. I couldn't move for a few days. I went back to my doctor. I said, the anti-inflammatory drugs work, but the pain is still there when I don't take them, and the physical therapy doesn't work for me. I think he already had decided that he was going to send me to a surgeon. So he did. And a few months later, I got a letter that I had an appointment with a surgeon. I went there and he said, yeah, this is something that we can fix. This was in January this year, 2020. And the plan was for me to have surgery within 4 months. It's now mid-July. Of course, since there was a pandemic in the world, that didn't happen. But I finally got my date for surgery. I'm going to be put in the hospital September 7th, and I'm going to have the surgery September 9th. So the plan now is to, because they're not certain that the surgery will actually help, because you can never be 100% sure. So I have it on both sides. They're going to start off with one side, and then after recovery, they're going to see if I have recovered well, and if I have, I will be having surgery on the other side as well. My main problems right now is that the pain affects me a lot in my everyday life. It affects me at work. It affects me on my free time. It affects me when I sleep. It affects me when I wake up. There are some things that makes it even worse. For example, if I sleep on my stomach, I have intense pain the day after. If I try to lay down in a specific way, it hurts a lot. There are certain workout routines that I can't do. When I do yoga in the morning, there are specific exercises that I just can't perform because I physically can't do them because it hurts so much. My hopes right now for the future, I'm gonna recover well, and that hopefully some of the pain at least will disappear so that I can run again, perform as well as I want to at work again, and hang out with friends again and not having to worry about pain. Hopefully I will have surgery on the other side and that it will be as good on that side as well. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I know that recovery is a bitch, but I also know that I'm strong. I'm looking forward to a life where my ribs don't stop me. I'm crossing all my fingers, and I will update you when I can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video has been helpful for you, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!